All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to my Saturday stream where I go over the recommendations I made yesterday during my Tech Word Buying newsletter and videos and all that. I try to send that on all social media. That way, I'm less likely to get filtered out and ignored by, social media platform. So today, basically, what I do is go over the recommendations I made yesterday and try to, first of all, see if they still held up. So one of the um, unpleasant side effects of sales and rebate is that often the device which are receiving the rebate goes out. Um, Basically out of stock really quick. So we'll see if they're still available, if the price is still as good as it was yesterday, and we'll go over basically just detail a little bit why each of those might be good for you or not. So if we look at the market overall, price definitely jumped up since yesterday. We had roughly $1,172, and we jumped up by almost $30 since then. I don't usually worry about the day-to-day variation all that much, and instead what I try to focus on is well, as we see here, we've been trending down since the beginning of June, and we're still trending down. So overall, pretty good time to go shopping. And nobody was really disadvantaged by the current market either. So overall, if you need to go shopping, it's not a bad time. If we compare to what prices were this on last Boxing Day, we're not that far off actually. So overall, you could do a lot worse. But obviously, you don't shop for the whole market. You're shopping for usually a single device. So let's go over the specific what is interesting and worth your attention right now. So we've got this Logitech gaming mouse that is currently at a pretty interesting price and definitely worth looking into, especially if you need something that, not a mouse that is too fancy, too flashy, or anything like that. Sure, it's got lighting, but you don't want to have RGB lighting or anything like that. It's also a wired mouse, so you don't have to worry about, um, you know, interference or range, or most commonly running out of batteries. So pretty good for those things. I know that personally I'm not a fan of dealing with batteries overall, and I see the price is still holding firm from what it was yesterday. The cheapest place to get it right now is from Amazon, which overall has been doing very well in terms of offering great rebates. Not necessarily rebates. Accessories tend to be cheaper there all the time. So mouse, keyboard, not so much for monitors and stuff like that, although they're not bad. But they're always, at this point in time, they would be the first place I look for a new mouse or keyboard or joystick. They're really good for that too. Because right now you would be paying almost double to get it from Best Buy if you wanted to grab it in store. So definitely worth buying that one online if you ask me. But Otherwise, we've got a 24-inch monitor right now that is very cheap, so 110 roughly. And yeah, it's actually larger than any screen I currently have. Of course, I recycle quite a bit, so my monitors around here are quite a bit older than this one. But yeah, actually, that would be if I were to replace one of my monitors, try to get a second 1080p screen in my array, that would probably be one of my I would definitely buy this right now. And yeah, it's this one is in stores only from Staples, so usually pretty easy to go shopping there. I know that's where I got my brand new chair behind me. So yeah, of course I ordered that one online, and yeah, free 24-hour delivery. That's yeah, I kind of like to shop online at Staples, but yeah, this one is in stores only. I don't think I could get that one delivered if I wanted. I would need to go in store and grab it. Otherwise, the Ornata Chroma Gaming keyboard, that one went up in price. Yesterday, Memory Express had pretty good rebate on it. It was available for $80. So it's back to its original 110. So yeah, window kind of opened and closed on that deal. So it's no longer something I would necessarily recommend that much, although pricing's not bad. But yeah, there's just nothing special about it anymore. However, yeah, the Ornata is can be interesting. It's a Mica membrane keyboard, so the actual switches, instead of being individual switches, are a single membrane keyboard, which for most people it's fine, unless you're playing some very twitchy game at a very advanced level. You're very unlikely to run into issues. They've got a pretty good rollover protection on that, from what I remember. And if you like having RGB as a feature on your keyboard, well, you can do pretty much anything you want. Have animations in there, or have every single color in the spectrum if you want to, or if you like to keep things a little classier, probably just stick to one or maybe a few zones of different colors and just try to have you know, you pick a color palette and you stick to it instead of throwing everything in a rainbow. Otherwise, for smartphones, I did pick the LG G5 yesterday. The price is a little bit better than usual. It dropped by a few dollars over at Newegg. And that's definitely the cheapest place to get it. It's still new and unlocked, and no contracts or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. Gives you quite a few options to you know, get a cheaper plan with your mobile service provider. And just let me open the little thing real quick over here. So yeah, and the reason why I picked it, even though it's getting a little old at this point, but the thing is, for that price, you get a really compelling mobile camera, and yeah, you're just not going to get a camera this good in smartphone this cheap at this point in time. And the G5 is still relatively recent. If I compare that to the Galaxy S6, which is a tiny bit pricier than this, but not by much. But yeah, the G5 is something like a year younger, so it's got some life left into it, even though that device was a little bit of a commercial failure for LG, sadly enough. I really like the design. That was the last smartphone, the last flagship smartphone anyway, that had replaceable batteries and a few features like that are just getting a little too rare in my opinion. But yeah, it's a little older. The hardware is still good. The limiting factor you're going to run into the fastest, if you're really into getting, all the new apps and all of that, is that I don't expect this will get much updates in the future. So that bit is worth keeping in mind if you're really a fanatic of different apps and stuff like that and want the latest, greatest, and everything like that. Given its age, the G5 might not be the best pick for you then, but otherwise, especially if you want a no-frill smartphone with a good camera, it's not a bad choice. Battery autonomy is not the best. As we can see here, we've got half a star. But there's a few things you can do about that. As I said, you've got a replaceable battery in there, so I know a few people were just swapping batteries during the day and putting them to charge at the end of the day. That's an option you have. Or if you're really attracted to the camera in there to the point where it's kind of a big deal about it, it's been a while since I did research, but this is modular smartphone, so you can attach a camera grip on this. You replace basically the bottom portion and replace that with basically a camera handle, so it get more shaped like a point-and-shoot camera than an actual phone. Of course, it's a bit bulkier in your pocket, but you get a shutter, clicker, and you get extended battery that way. So there's a few things going in this phone's favor, which might or might not be of interest to you. In terms of what it's able to, which program it's able to run, it runs the usual still very well. So the Office Suite is available for it. It's got 3-star for Monument Valley 2, which is probably one of the more demanding mobile game I have on the Android platform right now. So yeah, run that. A 3-star rating basically means that you meet the recommended specs by the developer. So definitely not a bad pick for that sort of thing. And yeah, it's able to run all the usual very well. So yeah, if you want to not spend much, it's definitely a valid option. Otherwise, if you want something, you don't want to invest in an older phone, you want something newer, you don't need a fancy camera or anything like that, the Galaxy A5 is, it's a modern phone. It's, although we're probably going to get a newer version soon. Usually there's always a new A5 going on, and this is the 2017 model. So expecting a 2018 rather soon. And yeah, that thing is built to be inexpensive. So that's why we start definitely quite a bit behind the curve in terms of power on this one. But I mean, it's got the basically all your basic needs are covered by that. So if you don't need anything fancy or anything like that, but you want to have access to software upgrades and safety upgrades as well for the years to come, this might be a little better on that. It's light on features as a cost saving measure, but yeah, it's easy to find pretty much everywhere, and the prices are, it's pretty low. It's just a tiny bit higher, I think, by 20 bucks compared to the G5. So yeah, 370 for G5, and we've got 374. Yeah, so $5 difference. So depending if you prefer having a good camera, you go with a G5. If you prefer having long battery life, or something a little bit more modern, the Galaxy A5 then is a better pick for you. But as we see in terms of what apps it's able to run and how well, we've got the basic covered roughly at the same level. But Monument Valley, which was a 3-star rating for the G5, is only a 1-star rating for the A5. So maybe not the best option if you're a mobile gamer, for instance, especially if you want to play those fancier games, and yeah, including Monument Valley. Otherwise, if you want something that's a lot stronger and that basically handles mostly like a flagship smartphone, but without the price tag and without locking yourself into a contract and stuff like that, the OnePlus 6 here is definitely worth a look then. It's got latest generation hardware in there, a lot of memory. This is the lowest spec version. There's one with more storage and even more memory than this. But yeah, basically in terms of bang for the buck, most people are going to be more than fine with the 6 gig model pictured here. It's got some of the, how would I say, bad characteristic that come with the more modern flagships too. So you've got the notch, you've got the glass back on it and all of that. So yeah, it's got a few of those annoyances though, so keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely a very capable phone. It's one characteristic it has that is definitely unusual, especially nowadays, and which is great for travelers, is that it's got a dual SIM slot in there, which means that when you travel, instead of paying for roaming data, you can just go to one of the local mobile provider, get a data just a pay as you go data plan, SIM plan with them with a SIM card. Pop that in there next to your regular SIM card, and that way you can keep your phone number if somebody needs to reach you while you're away. But you don't pay through the nose for your data while you're away. So Facebook, Instagram, and all of that, you can get it at the speed and cost of the locals instead of paying for the roaming fees, which are usually pretty expensive. So yeah, good option for the traveler there. Definitely an unusual one, and yeah, in terms of performance, it's a lot stronger than my previous 2 picks. So and it's a brand new phone, so in terms of updates and all of that, you should be okay. OnePlus sometimes lags behind in terms of updates and all of that, but they've been pretty good lately that I've seen. And for tablets, especially if the younger ones in the family want something to you know, stay entertained while traveling, or even if you just need a travel companion to check your email and social media and maybe a little bit more, but you don't want to necessarily rely to only the small battery on your smartphone to do it. Maybe you want something a little bit more comfortable. We've got a few tablets options. The convertible Chromebook here might look out of place, but yeah, as it says in the title, it's convertible, so it flips over itself to be used as a tablet as well as not sure I would necessarily say a laptop, but yeah, you know, a netbook. So in this price range, sure, there are a few Windows laptops in that price range as well, and yes, the Windows laptop in that price range will be able to do more things. The big reason why I still prefer Chromebooks in that price range is that for that price, the Chromebook is going to, you know, it's going to go online, and this one runs Android apps. So if you want to run games and stuff like that, you have the option still. But the big thing behind my preference for Chrome OS in that price range is that, well, the few things the Chromebook does, and I mean, few is relative. It's only because, yeah, Windows does a lot. But still, you'd be surprised how functional those things are. And it's going to do what it does really well. If you take a Windows netbook in this price range, well, in my opinion, you're not going to have a great time. Those things tend to get really slow really quick, and unless you know Windows very well, it's going to be a little bit hard to know where all those slowdowns are coming up. So Chromebook definitely a lot easier to manage, more pleasant experience overall, and all of that. So in this price range, it's one of the better value if you ask me. In terms of what it's able to do, well, you can do quite a bit, including run the Microsoft Office, even offline if you want to, and it's going to you can do that either through the web app from Microsoft, or there's the Android apps from the developed by Microsoft once again. So you've got quite a few options. It's not the full-featured Microsoft Office, but it's definitely functional for, well, quite a bit of needs actually. A lot of people are going to be fine with that version of Microsoft Word. And of course, yeah, YouTube, Netflix, every popular website you might think of are going to run fine on this as well. So good travel companion, especially if what you want is, you know, just stay connected and access social media, emails, and all that stuff while you're traveling. Maybe plan your trip on Google Map and that sort of thing. It's going to be very good for that sort of stuff. If gaming is your priority there, the Nintendo Switch is probably one of the best options for gaming on the go right now. And pricing is pretty good currently as well. Right now, Best Buy is selling it for $380. We've had a few online options this week as well, but as we can see here, it's gone at this point. But Yeah, it's the only way that you're going to be able to play stuff like Breath of the Wild on the go. And even if we look at Fortnite, it's going to run that a lot better than, let's say, the iPad. So, yeah, in terms of running the games you love, this is going to be definitely the best tablet right now. No contest there. It's just not going to run necessarily stuff that you've got on mobile. So it depends if you really like mobile games and all of that, that's fine. But yeah, personally, I prefer the Switch simply because you can buy a game and then play it in peace. Well, when you talk about mobile games, often they're just going to try to convince it. You're going to get them for the apps for free, but they're going to be clawing at you to try to convince you to buy the stuff and start buying the little things in there, watch ads and all of that. You don't get any of those annoyances with the Switch, which to me is a much better experience. But otherwise, if you really want something that's you know, well-rounded, does a little bit of everything from gaming to a little bit of productivity and all of that, the iPad is, well, it's the market leader, so there's apps for everything on it. Well, as you saw with the Switch is extremely specialized. So yeah, you've got a few more options when you run with an iPad. It can get quite pricey if you start adding, a keyboard cover on it and stuff like that. But if what you're looking for is a tablet and not a laptop replacement or something like that, the iPad is a pretty safe choice there. And yeah, this is the new version. There is no special pricing really anywhere. Nowhere that I found of anyway. And pricing has been constant pretty much since it came on the market. So yeah, no reason to jump at the iPad or anything like that. It's just in the list because right now it's in a very nice niche, especially at that price, considering that 2 years ago you would pay $700 for a similar device. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that price on the iPad, even though there's nothing special about it. But yeah, in terms of what you can run, Sid Meier's Civilization is exclusive to it right now. So yeah, you've got a full version of Civ 6 on this. If you absolutely need to play it on the go, it's although I warn you, it's pricey. If I remember right, it's $60. So, but yeah, it's the price of the full version, and by most account, it is the full version. You're just lacking a few cutscenes and stuff like that, apparently. So, pretty interesting deal. And you've got a few other things the others don't have, like Clip Studio Paint and Monument Valley 2 came to that platform at least 4 months before it came to Android. So for gaming, usually iOS is a little better, even though, as I described earlier, I don't like to recommend this for younger ones, simply because mobile game tends to be very manipulative and all of that, and kind of prefer I'd recommend limiting your children's exposure to that sort of treatment personally. So one of the reasons why I prefer to switch to the iPad personally. Yeah, and now on to laptops. This Inspiron 15-inch is back from last week. And yeah, overall, it's still the same price it was last week and all of that. But for $650, you can get it delivered to your house. Sadly, no in-store option for this one if you prefer to, drive to a store, buy something on a shelf, and come back. If your store still has shelves, there's fewer and fewer of those. But you've got a pretty decent processor in there. The basic specs are really good, so it's a good all-around laptop. It's not going to impress for anything, but you've got a good base there, and the screen has a high enough resolution for you to even be able to multitask on it. It's a 15-inch laptop, so it's somewhere of an in-between between it's large enough that you can put it on the table and work on it comfortably for a little while. I'd say around 30 minutes would be my maximum for a laptop anyway. Yeah, it's also small enough that if you need something to carry outside of the house, it's definitely an option. It's not the lightest, most portable laptop out there, but you can carry this around fairly well. So it's not going to tax your back or anything like that too much. In terms of what it's capable of doing, well, we can already take that Fortnite box right off the bat, even though there's nothing really special about this device. Fortnite is just programmed in such a way that it's easy to run on a computer, and it's one of the big reasons why they're so popular as well. That game is easy to get it to run on most computers, even if they're not gaming computers to start with. Same thing with Minecraft, Premiere Pro. As long as you stick to simple projects and stuff like that, you can start playing with it, anything like that. You're not going to doing fancy editing on this is not going to be fun because it's a little underpowered for that. But for editing home videos and stuff like that, it's fine. Although there's much simpler programs that you could be using for that effect. So Civ 6, you can run it to 1-star rating on this, which is fine usually. Your wait between turn might be a little longer, but I mean, it's gonna run fine. You're not going to be frustrated by most thing in there or anything like that. So yeah, perfectly suited for that. Same thing with WoW and a lot of very popular games out there right now. So you've got a full list. Basically, just as a recap, a 1-star rating means that, yeah, it's meeting the minimal requirements. 3-star rating means that you meet the recommended specs as said by the developer, and a 5-star rating means that it's strong enough for even people with which do very advanced stuff with that. So we're talking about running mods, we're talking about streaming a game, we talk about macro scripting, stuff that most people won't do. So for most people, a 3-star rating is fine, and yeah, it already delivers on that. And otherwise, if you need something that is very easy to carry, especially if you spend your day away from your desk, you go to meeting, or maybe you're a student dashing from class to class, and you can't necessarily rely on always having access to a power outlet to charge up your laptop, this is a better option for that kind of scenario. It's a convertible, so you can use that as a tablet if you want to. Although, yeah, it's going to be a pretty bulky and big and heavy tablet by tablet standards, but still, every once in a while, that might be a better thing to do. Using it in the 10 configuration, as it's pictured here, could be a good pick for, PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. Yeah, if I compare that to the last one, let's check a quick comparison. Yeah, it's even stronger. We've got much better battery autonomy on that. And yeah, overall, it's very easy to carry and all of that. It's a 13-inch laptop, so it's on a smaller size. But it's definitely large enough to do a lot of work on. And it's just that, yeah, if you want to set that up on your desk and maybe work for an hour on a document or something like that, I would definitely recommend getting a laptop stand, maybe an external monitor, keyboard and mouse and all of that. It's a little bit smaller, but yeah, overall, for the person that travels and uses laptop away from home most of the time, this is a much better pick than, let's say, a 15 or even worse, a 17-inch laptop, which are going to tax your body quite a bit compared to this one. And it's currently available brand new online and in stores at your Microsoft Store, which is where I usually prefer to buy my laptops, simply because usually their pricing is really, really good. Also appreciate their signature edition line, although I don't think this one is part of that, but essentially means that you're going to get fewer bundled programs with your laptop, which might sound like a negative, but actually most of the stuff that is bundled in a laptop nowadays is stuff that either you do not want or just will slow that thing down. So yeah, that's one reason where usually fewer bonuses and bundles and stuff like that is actually good news when you shop for a laptop. And yeah, this one is definitely a good pick for anyone that has to use a laptop outside the home. I would probably go for that instead. And in terms of what it's capable to do, as you see, we have a pretty extensive list there. Wow, 3 stars for Guild Wars 2, so already recommended specs. Again, not a gaming laptop or anything like that. But yeah, still runs quite a few, and you're going, if you need some entertainment while you stay at the hotel or dorm room or anything like that, it's going to be able to deliver on that, as long as you don't want to play any of the big expensive and demanding titles. But as you see, we've got Fortnite, you've got Minecraft, we've got Civ 6. There's a lot to do here already. But yeah, if what you want is really a gaming laptop, this is not necessarily the ideal pick, but it's at least worth considering, especially if your budget is under $1,000. So we've got a dedicated graphics card in there, and that thing usually, what we find usually in a gaming laptop is a slightly better screen, and the graphics hardware in there is definitely a lot stronger too, so it's going to be a lot better at running games or even a graphical application like, let's say, Premiere, Photoshop, etc. Actually, a NVIDIA GeForce 1050 is really good pick for that sort of thing. and it's enough to open several doors when playing games. Although not always the AAA, but if you like to play indie games and stuff like that, usually on a 1050 you're pretty good. And yeah, it's currently at its cheapest online at Amazon, but it's also available at Best Buy. You even have an open box or buying it brand new if you want. Although all of those options are online only, so it's only if you're comfortable buying a laptop from an online retailer. Best Buy doesn't carry this model in store, not at the moment anyway, or not from my research. And price on it actually improved a little bit since yesterday. So not a bad pick. Of course, being a gaming laptop, you kind of sacrifice portability and battery endurance when you pick one of those. Battery autonomy is really low, so if you're, let's say, going from classroom to classroom, you will want to have access to a power outlet to keep that thing charged during the day. It's not going to be able to, last a day on a charge, simply because the hardware, the powerful hardware in there, is going to just drain that really quick. It's also thicker, bigger, and all of that. So, but not big enough that I would say that I would advise against carrying this around. But yeah, a little bit less comfortable on the portability point of view. But still, definitely workable. You can run quite a few things on this. We're reaching a 2-star rating for Fortnite with a model like that, which is already not bad at all. And yeah, still 1 star for Premiere. The memory on it is not super high on, but for a sub $1,000 device, you already get a lot of options. So yeah, that thing is going to run quite a few games and titles that the others didn't even cover. So good pick for, quite a few gamers, as well as if you're a graphic artist and you want to run apps like, Illustrator, Photoshop, Premiere at a fairly comfortable and fluid level. And back for something to a more portable model. The XPS 13 is, well, it's a very good pick for anyone working away from your desk for most of the day. It looks very professional. It's got great battery autonomy and is definitely capable of handling quite a bit of work. Again, not a gaming system or anything like that, but it's thin, light, easy to carry around. You don't sacrifice any functionality or anything like that to have it being a convertible laptop. So this is going to be probably a slightly better keyboard and a few things like that. Of course, being a 13-inch laptop, I would not expect to have a number pad on this. But unless you use a number pad all the time, I find that usually having an external USB or Bluetooth numpad on the side is a better option anyway. That way, when you don't need it, you don't need to, take space. It doesn't make your laptop heavier and all of that either. So it's a better, portable option anyway. But yeah, overall, if you need something a little fancier, you need to look good in meetings and stuff like that, and you don't necessarily care for the tablet option that the earlier model had, this is definitely worth a look. And you still have a touchscreen on that, so if you like to use a touchscreen to swap from slide to slide in PowerPoint presentation or something like that. Definitely an option here. And yeah, in terms of what it's able to run, we've got quite a few options already, including Fortnite and PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, so not bad. And yeah, otherwise it's relatively similar, but yeah, we've got 3 stars for Adobe Photoshop, so recommended specs for Photoshop, so that's already pretty good on that. And yeah, a lot of options open to you in a small portable device. And if you're really, really into gaming, but don't necessarily want to, spend over $2,000 on a device, this is an interesting option as well. We have the same graphic card that we had in previous gaming option. But this one has a much stronger processor and a lot more RAM, so it's going to go a long way in terms of making games more responsive. It's going to do wonders for rendering time if you edit video too. So definitely worth a look for video editing, especially if you need something to edit video on site for some reason. This might actually be a pretty good pick for that. It's, 2.5 kilos, so it's portable. It's not the most comfortable to lug around, but it's an option. And that 15-inch format is usually, it's portable, but it's also big enough that when you set it on the desk, it makes an okay workstation as well. So not a bad pick there. And with fast storage on board and all of that, yeah, definitely a step up from the previous gaming option. Of course, at a higher price tag too. We do feel an improvement in several apps here. So if you notice anything that you would like your laptop to run, that's basically the list now. Each of them would run on it. Definitely reaches higher levels in most areas, despite the fact that, the onboard graphics card is not that much stronger, but having a stronger CPU, more RAM, and the faster hard drive is not going to improve performance in game that much, but it's going to slow down your reduce your loading times, which is always good. And that's it for laptops right now. Stationary computers. I start with, this is a refurbished model. I currently can get it for just under $240 on Amazon. And I'm more comfortable recommending refurbished model, especially for with older devices when it's a stationary computer, because simply you've got more options to go on. Maintenance is much easier, and those things age up more gracefully than a laptop by a long shot. So if for some reason you cannot afford the computer you need yet, you open a lot of options already at a $240 point, and this will allow you to handle homework, going online for research, and all of that. Is not going to do very fancy stuff or anything like that, but it's a competent all-around computer. And sure, although I'm not sure, it might come with keyboard and mouse. If not, it's a $20, $30 extra you have to add to it. As I've shown earlier, you can get a pretty good monitor for $110 right now. So yeah, it's still cheaper than most laptops, at, and for the price that you get a lot more options open to you there. So yeah, worth considering, especially when or the refurbished computer has a good warranty on that and all that. And a worst case scenario, well, you can use that for maybe 2 years before you move on to something a little bit more modern, if your needs require something fancier. But it's a nice way to get yourself untangled if money's scarce and you need a computer, but you don't necessarily have a lot of money to invest on it. So yeah, covers the basics very well. LibreOffice, if you want a free Office suite, is available here. Same thing with the Microsoft Office and all of that. It's already strong enough for Audacity as well. So if you want to do podcast, maybe play with music a little bit, it's not a bad option to get at least started. It's not a professional option, but yeah, it's going to basically for under $300. It's opening doors that nothing else really can handle. So yeah, good starter computer, really. If you need something a little bit, well, newer and definitely more capable as well, this one's available from Staples right now, and yeah, price has been steady since yesterday, and it's a pretty good computer, especially for the price. And as you see, you're able to run quite a few apps that yeah, the refurbished model just, well, it didn't meet the minimal recommended specs. But yeah, we're already covering Fortnite in there and Minecraft and most of the popular apps out there right now, or at least based on popularity on my site. So yeah, got pretty good coverage there. Good stuff for music productions and stuff like that. So definitely worth a look for that sort of thing. So yeah, several options open to you already that the other didn't have. For yeah, it's a little bit more. You're talking about 700. But yeah, if you're not comfortable buying something that's been refurbished or something like that, it's a pretty good deal for that. Otherwise, this Envy desktop is oh yeah, I remember that one. It's still available online only from London Drugs, from all places. So yes, it's a drugstore available in Western Canada. If you don't have London Drugs in your area. Yeah, and one of the reason I keep tabs on them is every once in a while they get a pretty good deal. And this is one of them. It's as you see, price history, while it went off for quite a while, just came back in stock, and I managed to find. Well, London Drugs is the only place that still sells this model, and it's a little bit of a blast from the past. It's a bit of a retro gaming system. But at this point in time, it's still a very good device for multitasking, media collection, because it's got a 2 terabyte hard drive in there. So if you have lots of musics, photos, videos, and so on, this one is definitely roomier right off the bat, instead of having to, expand your space with external hard drives and stuff like that. It's also got a graphics card in it, so it's going to open a few doors in terms of gaming, but where it's the most attractive there is for creative outlet, so editing videos and stuff like that is going to handle that a lot better. And we're, I remind you, at the $850 mark. They still have it in stock, and it's you can only get it online at this point, but I felt that it filled a niche that was worth considering if you like to fiddle with media on your home computer a little bit more. This is worth looking into. It's capable of doing quite a bit right off the bat, even though I'm not super comfortable usually recommending models with 12 gigabytes of RAM, because that usually means that in that configuration is not going to run as fast as it possibly could in terms of memory, at least. But yeah, for the price point, you get quite a bit for the price here, and even if it's not running as fast as it could, more memory is definitely a good thing still. In terms of what it can run, well, we already get a 4-star in Fortnite. So, despite me saying that it's not necessarily the best gaming option, it opens quite a few doors already. And yeah, there's quite a bit here available to do. So, yeah, for that price, I felt that it was definitely worth mentioning, even though it's a little bit of an oddball in terms of what kind of configuration we have here. And the place where you can get it as well. But yeah, I've heard pretty good thing about the IT department in London Drugs, so worth a look. Otherwise, and definitely at the other end of the spectrum there, we've got a gaming PC built to order from Memory Express, which is it's again PC builder that we have here in Western Canada. I think they're in Alberta, Manitoba, and BC at the moment, although they're expanding pretty quick. Those guys are definitely riding a really nice wave right now. And yeah, I've been customer of them for over 17 years, something like that. And overall, I can't recommend them enough. And I really like having a few build options in there instead of having factory built options necessarily wall to wall, just so that you can have a quick comparison of what's available for the price. And one of the bigger advantage of going for a build-to-order PC instead of grabbing a factory-built one is that the basically maintenance and upgrade options are much higher here than they would be in a factory-built system, where they try to cut everything down to the bare minimum in order to give you basically the most bang for the buck, and well, keeping their profit margin pretty good as well. So when you buy something that's custom built, usually you've got more room to grow right off the bat, and it's much easier to do maintenance on it. And those characteristics are especially good on a gaming build because, well, you're probably going to change your graphics card in a few years in that one. It's how you can make a high-end gaming PC last for almost a decade, while if you compare that to a laptop, after 3 years, you're probably done. And the biggest reason for that is that, well, you can replace the graphics card. Yeah, with a system built like that, you don't have to worry as much with the power supply or what ports are available on the motherboard and stuff like that. And even though I don't necessarily want to go super far in technical details, overall, even if you're not the one doing the work on your computer, when you have something like that, it's going to be a little bit cheaper going forward. And yeah, you've got a really great starting point with this build with fairly capable CPU, great graphics card, lots of RAM. At this point in time, it's not necessarily advisable for most people to go over 16 gigs of RAM. Really, there's no measurable performance gain in there, even though, you know, we all know how much RAM Chrome takes, but the thing is, yeah, Chrome takes what is available to try to do its work faster. So once you get at the 16 gigs point, there's nothing really measurable after that. Unless you're in a special position, then you probably know why you need 32 gigs anyway. Fast storage, easy to expand as well. So if you need to add hard drives and those and all that, it's very easy to do. And yeah, it's built to order from Memory Express, which is definitely an experienced builder here in Western Canada. And yeah, in terms of performance, we're reaching the 5-star rating on pretty much everything that is currently that is in demand right now. Only got an exception for Adobe Premiere, which can be pretty demanding, especially at the higher echelons. But again, 3-star rating means that you're meeting the recommended specs set by the developer. So it's no laughing matter at all. 3 stars, usually you're going to be fine unless you make a living editing video. Same thing with Maya, where we reach a very, very respectable 4-star. And same thing with After Effects and Arc. So pretty tough game to run at their best performance, and we're already reaching really good numbers here. And again, it's you know, a little bit over $1,500, $1,550 to be precise, and that thing is going to last you a long time thanks to its ease of maintenance and upgrades. So a little bit of a long-term investment compared to most of my previous recommendations there. And if you need something that is even more powerful, and sure, we could go for build, but I try to pick for widely available, easy to pick up system, and every once in a while there's very good deals on factory built gaming system. And yeah, for that price, you get quite a bit. It definitely rivals the Memory Express builds given the current rebate on it. And I see the price is holding steady since yesterday. It's available online and in stores right now at Staples. Which means that, yeah, if you've got a local Staples, got it in store, you can drive it there, grab it, bring it back home and play it tonight. You don't even have to wait for it to be built. So if you're a little bit impatient, maybe don't care about upgrades necessarily that much, maybe you won't be the one doing them. Usually those systems are fine for that. You know, you're not going to have as many upgrade options, but probably the ones you need are still going to be in there. So definitely not a bad pick. You already start with that i7 model is the top of the line, which is, you know, widespread. So it's the it's the end of the plateau in terms of stuff that you find easily from manufacturers. You've got a GeForce 1070 in there, which is probably what I would personally pick if I were to buy a new high-end gaming PC. Sure, there's more performance in there, but there's also a lot more expensive, and 1070 is kind of where my personal line lies in terms of what I'm ready to pay for a graphics card. So and you get most of the performance for maybe half the price. So it's it's the soft spot, pretty much, if you ask me. So fast memory in there, fast storage as well, and yeah, not the best upgrade options, but definitely respectable in that regard as well. And yeah, as I said, it's available in store. You might be able to just drive to the store, bringing back home and play tonight, which is always, a nice thing. And as you see, we reached the 5-star rating in several programs where the previous build didn't quite reach it. But yeah, similar performance in terms of Premiere and Maya. So those two, you're not going to see much of a difference, but everywhere else where things were not maxed out, now we're maxed out. So very capable gaming system for most of us at yeah, under $1,800, which I'm very comfortable with that price tag for what we get in there. I tend to cap out around $2,000, and that is one of the interesting configuration I've been seeing lately. So definitely recommended for a serious gamer out there. And that's it for this week. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye-bye.